finish the point I was making before. She can speak. Let me just finish it. In the Quran, it says the word mess means touch. Yeah? Now it's better to translate it as touch. That's the Arabic word. If a man, according to Shafi'i, which is one of the four major schools of thought, he says wudu means before you pray. We believe before you pray, you have to do something called ablution. Yeah. Before you pray. Yeah?
Who cares?
Yeah, we believe that the
prayer was saying the Quran. Why is that the case in Saudi Arabia?
So before you pray, we have to do something called ablution. The same ablution that Moses and Aaron did in the Bible. They washed their hands and feet. That ablution, when we do it, now Shafi'i, he looks at this verse literally. He says that verse means if you touch a woman like that, if you're a man, you have to. If you touch a woman, if you're a woman, you touch a man. If you're a woman and you touch a man, the same thing applies.
So does that mean the man is dirty?
So does that mean the man is dirty?
Exactly.
So that's according to Shafi'i. The other three, excuse me. The other. No. Okay. No, this verse is for the women. Okay, can I tell you now? Because you just made an accusation. Can I answer it? Now, if you look in Arabic, the word hum, which is a pronoun which can be either attached or detached, is used for both men and women. Whenever the Quran talks about anything in the Quran to do with rulings, it is to do with men and women unless...
That's not true. I've done a study on that.
Excuse me. Unless... You need to study more. Excuse me. Unless there is an exception. How do we know that? How do we know that? Because of that... Excuse me, please. There are three main exceptions. And I'll tell you what they are for one. But... How do we know that? Because in the hadith narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that, she's the biggest woman. Female. She said, woman. How could you read it? I haven't even read all of it.
No, have you not read it?
There's a million hadith. There's 700,000 hadith.
The Quran says, the hadith says, where's reality in this?
I'm going to come to you.
What I'm saying to you is Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that النساء شقائق الرجال, that women are shiqa'iq of rijal. What does the shiqa'iq mean? If you look at what the mufassirin of almost every school of thought, including the Salafi school of thought, including Ibn Baz himself, he said shiqa'iq huna tani musawiyat, means equal to men. So why? Because generally speaking, men and women are equal. We believe that.
Not totally though.
But there are exceptions. And that's what scholars say. Ibn Baz, what exceptions are we talking about? For example, motherhood, mothers have a higher rank in some instances. In some of the jara'im and stuff like that, women have a higher rank.
Women rank higher in Islam society. They do not.
I didn't say anything about Islamic society. I said, according to our religion,
Surah 2
and
Surah 4 says that men are higher than women.
No, does it?
Yes, it does. Surah 4:34.
4:34. Okay, let me recite the Arabic for you.
I'm not interested in Arabic. This is in English. Is Allah for English people? Is Islam for English people?
What language is in the Bible in? Is it in English?
Betty,
is it in English?
Yes, it's in many languages.
Betty, he's in evidence that the Quran's preserved. You gave him one verse, he goes to me, I'll memorize it. I'll just tell you.
Okay,
that's evidence for you.
Let me recite it. It says in the Quran, chapter number 4, verse 34, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. And then it continues. Now, what it says,
that's how it's memorized.
Excuse me.
And that's how it's preserved.
Chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. Read it. What does it say? It says in chapter... Let me just tell you what it says in that verse. In that verse, before 34, because you can't read 34 by itself. You've got to read 31, 32, then 33, 34. You don't read just 34 in isolation. That's called taking things out of context. In Surah An-Nisa, chapter number 4, if you look from 30, 31, 32, 33, it says للرجال نصيب مما اكتسب للرجال نصيب مما اكتسبوا وللنساء نصيب مما اكتسبوا.
Turn to Islam and
understand what it says. It doesn't matter what the Arabic means. Understand what it means. This is the point. You understand what it means.
He's reading Arabic.
I've got a question.
Please.
If you're a man and you want a divorce, what do you have to do?
What do I have to do? What I have to do is I have to go through a process of Islam, which means I have to try and fix my relationship. I can't go and just divorce a woman. I have to go through it's called Islam. Yes, of course, it says it in the same verse. It says it in chapter 4, verse 35. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ يَخَافُوا.
We're not interested in the Arabic.
Of course you know.
Oh, who cares? It says if you're fearing, and there's two ways. She was talking about the qira'at before. Subhanallah. Do you know why? There's two qira'at.
We need to read the Arabic. We need to read the Arabic to understand what it says.
What it says in one qira'ah,
the fact that you always keep reciting Arabic shows this is an Arabic religion for Arabs.
Oh yeah, that's why it's
I am studying.
Look around you.
I will study Arabic.
The majority of Muslims are not Arab.
But you keep.
The majority.
The majority are not Arab.
We are translating it. Listen to me.
Reading it in English.
Listen, please.
But for some reason it's a problem to read it in English.
Listen, please. I'm telling you what the Quran says.
Yeah. What's the Quran
Okay, so what is it? What if you want divorce? What you should do? In the Quran it says in chapter 4, I think verse 35, and you can check it out. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنَهُمَا. If you fear divorce between those two, who? The man and his wife, or the wife and his man? Yeah. فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. Get someone from his family. Get someone from her family. And do what? Speak. And then present your case. Does it say?
After he's beaten her.
Excuse me.
That's the Bible.
The verse beforehand says he can beat her because he excels her.
That's the Bible.
Okay, do you want me to answer that? Would you like me to answer that? Yeah, okay. What does the word daraba mean?
After he's beaten
what
her,
does daraba mean?
and also
Beat who?
wadrub, the best translation is scourge or punch.
It's not wadrub. It's wadribuhunna.
And because Allah has made one of them to excel the other.
Okay, do you want me to answer that? Okay, why don't you look at chapter 73 of the Quran, where it says, وَآخِرُونَ يَضْرِبُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَبْتَغُونَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. You know what I talked about wudu before? There's two kinds of things you can do in Islam before you pray. There's something called wudu and there's another called what? Tayammum. Tayammum is what? If there's no water around, what do? You find the
It
dust.
means you can use dust, so dust is more clean than a woman. That means we women are dirtier than dust. That means the ground is dirtier than us according to the Quran.
Women have to use the dust as well.
I know about tayammum. So it means you have to use the dust on the ground if you touch a woman. So dust is cleaner than us.
Don't lie about my religion, please. Don't lie. Please, no, excuse me, don't lie. I'm not allowed to look. The Prophet Muhammad said in the hadith.
Folks, you need to think it through.
What was I going to say? The Prophet Muhammad said in the hadith. I don't want to say this hadith wrong now, because the hadith is actually about saying things wrong. It says, whoever says something about me, فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. Then he should, whoever says something about whoever says something
Was that the hustle or the wash recitation?
It's a hadith. So the hadith says,
which hadith?
Whoever says,
Sahih or weak?
Sahih. So the Prophet said, whoever says something about me without knowledge, so I'm a Muslim, yeah? I'm not allowed to lie about Islam. And more than what's in the Quran, it says, who is worse than the one who fabricates lies against Allah? I'm not allowed to lie about it. I don't fear any woman or feminism. Wallah al-azim, I don't fear it. I'm just telling you to clear the record. I don't care. Wallah. If it's something that goes against anybody, even if it's against myself, I will say it. Now, if you ask the question about wadribuhunna, I'm going to answer the question very directly. Wadribuhunna, if you look at any translations, either like beat her or strike her or something like that. I.e. the man can strike the woman or something like that, yeah? Now, if you look at chapter 73 of the Quran, the last verse, it says, وَآخِرُونَ يَضْرِبُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَبْتَغُونَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. This same word, daraba, yadribu, is the same word that's daraba in chapter 4, verse 34. It's the same, excuse me, let me just finish. It's the same word that's used in chapter number 73 of the Quran in the final verse. What does it mean? Now, tayammum, what does it mean when it said in 73? It's talking about tayammum. You know tayammum what it is?
Sir, 73.
Excuse me.
Where is it? Where is that second reference you're talking to?
Tayammum.
Yeah, which is the reference?
I think it's chapter 73.
73?
Yeah, 73.
73 verse what? Let's just find it. Let's just find it. Okay.
So they basically hit it says they hit the ground. Tayammum, literally, if you don't mind, demonstration. Hold this way. Oh no. Demonstration. Tayammum.
Look, you're not looking, Betty.
Look.
We want to see what ayah.
Give me an example.
I'm not sure what this has to do.
That's what you do. That's tayammum, yeah? Tayammum is when you're literally wiping or tapping, like that. Yeah, you don't, does anyone do tayammum like this?
Okay, I want you to show me.
I want to know anyone that you know.
I want you to show me. I want you to show me.
Come on, tell me.
I want to show you. Can you show me what you? I want you to show me.
Means.
Yes, and you do it by context too. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
the context
so
is
let's look at what Ibn Abbas said. Ibn Abbas, if you look at Tabari, if you look at the tafsir of Ibn Tabari.
I've looked at. Can you please put it to
Betty,
me where it is?
Betty, you're not allowed to speak in the church. We allow you to speak here. It's not nice. Let me finish.
Let me hold on to it. What's this going to take me? Just show
That's
me.
a racist comment.
Just show me.
That's honestly a racist comment. She held it and she goes, Muslims keep
They
taking.
do, they do.
Muslims
Many
keep
down
taking. That's
here
a racist.
take
You're
it.
talking to me about women's rights.
Hatred is in your heart. We don't blame you.
That's a racist
You're supposed to love your enemies.
That is a racist
supposed to love your
comment.
enemies.
Sorry, I'm not gonna
What
continue.
kind of love is that?
Because why? Why?
I've told you the verse. It's here.
Okay,
It's there.
where?
If you let me hold it, I can hold it. I'm not gonna steal it. There's so many cameras on me. I'm not gonna steal it.
Listen, many
Come on,
Muslims are
man.
stealing it. Many
Stealing
Muslims
it?
are stolen it.
Betty, you gotta read the 18. You should love your enemies. Rather than
I
love
do
your
love
enemies.
you. Why do you
What kind of love is that?
the Quran?
What kind of love is that?
You expose
You steal
Quran
my book.
when you love people.
Why would we steal a Quran when we can get it for
Sir,
free?
many people have stolen
You acting
our
like
Quran.
why would you steal your Quran?
I'm not saying you do.
You acting like it's a diamond. Like, it's better than a diamond, alhamdulillah. It's better than a diamond, but you get my point.
Where's one for you?
Yeah, 74.
Okay, 74 where?
They're not ready for the truth about that. They're not ready for the truth. They're not ready for the truth.
73 here. Yes, 73 here. So we keep the four and give zakat and lend to Allah with the loan, read in the Arabic, and whatever good you send. Well, that's 74, so this is the rest of 74.
Let's make the circle bigger. We've got a special guest.
I was traveling through land. That's how it's translated.
Yeah.
When they travel,
When you're traveling through land, seeking Allah's
when they-
bounty,
yeah.
Careful behind
and
you,
yet
yeah?
others fighting in
Betty,
Allah's
be careful,
cause.
you might fall.
Others fighting in Allah's cause.
yeah.
What? So where's Darul? Where's
Yeah,
Darul?
he said.
Where is it?
Here, on the Arabic.
Where is it in the English?
يضربون. Here. Sorry, but it says it here. Others.
Okay, point it out to me. Let me read
In
it.
English
I
or
can read
Arabic?
it in Arabic.
Right, so here it says, as much as it may be easy for you, he knows that you, blah, blah, blah. Some among you are
When
sick.
you're fighting.
Yeah, no,
So
this
it's
one,
about
traveling.
fighting.
No, this one, traveling through the land. That's what it translates.
Where's Darab? Where's Darab in there?
In Arabic is here. وآخر يضربون. The fourth word there. وآخر يضربون. You see that? Okay.
So
So,
what?
وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله. Who interprets daraba here as meaning pounding and killing and
Okay, hang on. It's about fighting. They seem to be in the context of fighting. But it
This
is.
is traveling. It
When
says
you're
traveling.
traveling and others.
Yeah. So and others that are fighting. And others. No, it says and others are fighting.
And others
are
fighting.
fighting. Yeah. So if it says and others, it means it's two different things, isn't
Okay,
it?
so the context of that is
Yeah.
what? It doesn't make sense in English. When you recite the Quran, as much as easy for you,
Yeah,
you know there will be many among you sick, others traveling through the land, seeking Allah's
So what I'm
bounty,
saying is daraba.
others fighting
So
in
this
Allah's
word
cause.
daraba is an Arabic word which needs to be defined
By the context. Okay,
So how do
Surah 434
so
then
the-
means beat.
No, it doesn't. Why are you making your own word?
Okay, let's
Beat
look at
like
the
what? Like
context.
beat up like what?
So let's look at the
do you think,
context.
honestly, excuse me.
The hadith
Do you
beforehand,
think,
don't it, that women
no,
were
excuse
beaten,
me,
that
do you
Aisha
think,
was
do you
beaten.
actually believe, do you
Aisha was
actually,
beaten until she was green.
do you
Let's
actually,
look at the context.
don't lie about my
Let's
prophet in
look
front
at
of
the
me.
context.
Do not lie about
Yes,
my
by
prophet.
the way, in some people
That's not fair.
It says Aisha was hit.
No, don't lie about my prophet in front of me. No, there is no hadith that says that she went green.
Yes, she did. Some
there is no-
people
there is no
talked
hadith
about
that
she was
shows
hit and it went green. Yes, it does. Yes, it
Don't read
does. I
Arabic.
can show you next week.
In front of me, don't make false
Go
references.
look it up, sir.
Listen,
It says that she was hurt.
there is only the hadith you'll find of the Prophet saying he never hit anybody. The hadith for Anas ibn Malik. You know what Anas ibn Malik, excuse me? You killed who? You killed one person in his whole life. And in Uhud,
Then you
yes.
have not read the hadith.
Okay, tell me where. Give me the
So you
hadith.
read the Sunnah
No, why don't you
Rasulullah, read Sahih Bukhari, read all of the
Why don't you tell me
Quran,
where?
and you will find that Muhammad killed
Yeah.
Asma the poetess. He affirmed when she was killed.
No. He killed means he done it himself, yeah?
No.
So what, now you're changing your words.
He's the leader.
No, so make your point clear. Did he kill them? Did he kill them or did he kill them?
He
He killed them?
He
Okay.
agreed to them.
So do you believe, so is your premise this? Let me just ask you a question. Do you mind if I ask you? Do you
He
mind if I ask you a
affirmed
question?
it when his men
Right,
killed people.
fine. Is your premise that, excuse me, is your premise that
Don't get back to what we were
excuse me, let me finish my sentence, please.
Context.
Do you want to do 2 minutes each? Do you want to do 2 minutes each?
No.
Yeah. You don't want to?
Context
Fine,
is
I'm going to speak
peace.
over you then. What I'm saying to you, if you look into your Bible, you're talking about fighting. If you're saying that in the Quran says fighting, go to Matthew chapter 10, verse 34, 35. Get it? Yeah, you laugh loudly because you don't want to hear the truth. At the end of the day, when it comes...
Jesus is telling a story, mate. This is actually not a story.
Jesus is telling a story,
this
yeah?
Is you.
What about Deuteronomy?
This is you. Old Testament. Old Testament.
Old Testament. Okay, so let's stick to the New Testament. Matthew chapter 5, verse number 17. No, excuse me. Jesus said that he's come to affirm the Old Testament. He didn't say that he's going to abrogate
He
it.
fulfills it.
Fulfilled it.
Fulfills.
So does he abrogate it? Does he abrogate it? That's my question to you.
No,
Does he
it's not
abrogate
about
it?
abrogating.
Does he abrogate it? So does he abrogate it, yes or no?
No, it's not abrogating.
So therefore, are you telling me the Old Testament is redundant? Is the Old Testament redundant? Is the
No,
Old
it's
Testament
not. He
redundant?
fulfills it.
What does that mean?
You understand
Can you explain
Jesus
to me what that means?
fully.
Explain to me
You
what that
understand
means.
Jesus as the
No,
Old
but explain to me
Testament.
what that means.
He fulfills.
What does that mean?
Let's get back
What
to
does
the
that mean?
Quran.
Does that mean we're going to throw away the Old Testament?
You
You guys only believe the New Testament.
Is that context?
You don't believe in the Old Testament.
He doesn't want to touch
I've
it.
just told you. I said to you the context. Look at Ibn Abbas, said in his tafsir, as noted by Jalal Tabari, it says that actually we got like a miswag. Everyone knows the thing. The point is, we're not allowed to beat our wives and hurt them. In the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to hurt our wives and cause any bruising or grazing or cutting. This is absolutely
Beat her
nonsense what you're saying.
until she obeys you.
Oh right, so is that what it says? Beat her until
Yes, read it right
No,
there.
it doesn't say until she
Yes,
was
it
lying
does.
about the Quran.
No, read it. Read it.
فإن أطعنكم فلا تبغوا عليهن سبيلا.
Until she
In the Quran, it
obeys
says
you.
in chapter number 4, verse number 34.
Beat her
فإن
until she
أطعنكم.
obeys her.
No, it doesn't
No
say
point.
hatta. I'm telling Arabic.
Let's go.
It's translated as hatta. She's lying in front of
Mohammed,
me.
nice to
You're not
talk to
allowed.
you.
No, I'm not going to shake your hand. I'm going to shake your hand.
Look at that. Look at that.
I'm gonna shake-
That's
Yeah,
not
she
a
doesn't
religion
like
I want.
Do you know what? I'm going to tell you what.
Not a religion
Not
I
the
want,
religion you
sir.
want. Why? Because your
Because
religion allows
religion-
raping of
because
individuals.
God
Why
wants
don't we look at
you
Lamentations?
brothers and
Why don't we look at
sisters.
chapter 5, verse 11 of
God
Lamentations?
wants you
Where it's
and I
okay
to
to
be
rape
brothers
a
and
child
sisters.
in your religion.
That's not about sin.
No,
Talk
it's
about
not.
sin.
According
God
to the
wants
commentaries of the
us.
Bible,
God
you're allowed to
wants
rape a
us.
child.
No, it does not say that.
Where does it say that in the Quran?
Because it's
I'm asking you a
about
question.
sin.
Lamentations 5:11. You're allowed to
talking
rape a
about
child.
sin.
You're allowed to rape a child in your books. No. Then go ahead and answer it. You're allowed to rape a child
you are not.
according to Lamentations
It's
5:11.
talking about
What
sin.
then?
The Old
What about
Testament
Deuteronomy
talks
chapter number
about
21,
sin.
where it says you can take a slave and rape them?
Like Muhammad.
Rape
No,
them.
you're like Muhammad.
Where does it say
You're like
that?
Muhammad.
Tell me
Look
one
at
verse in the
some of
Quran
the
that says rape.
Qari.
Go on.
Surah 4:24.
Go on.
Take what your right hand possesses.
Tali.
Okay?
Give me 424.
Okay.
I will love to. I want you guys to say that.
New Testament.
I'll read it in Arabic. I'll read it in Arabic. 424. What does it say? I'll tell you what it says.
Accept what your right hand possesses. Sir,
إلا ما ملكت
treat
أيمانكم.
your wives equally, but
Accept.
accept your slaves. You treat your slaves, that means you
You have
rape
just lied
them.
about the Quran translation.
Accept your slaves.
Chapter 424. Did you get 424? It says, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ إِلَّا مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُم. Now, إِلَّا is an Arabic word meaning accept. If you go to the Ajurubiyya, which is an Arabic grammatical book that is understood by everybody, there's two times of illa. It's called harf al-istithna, verb al-istithna. Verb al-istithna means the verb of the chapter of exception. Excuse me, I'm telling you what it means, but if you don't want to listen to that, it's an Arabic book, so if you don't want to hear it, then it's not fair on you. It shows your insincerity actually. It says, well, excuse me, can I just finish this point and then you can go? Just finish this point because you have a misconception. Okay, and then you can leave, right? So what I was going to say, let me just finish the point, if you don't mind. It's alright. I was going to say that illa here is not connected to what was mentioned before. The context of this verse, it starts with حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ وَبَنَاتُكُمْ وَأَخَوَاتُكُم. It says that, it says in chapter number 4 of the Quran, before like in verses 15 or whatever it is, where it says that haram upon you are your mums. You can't marry your mum, you can't marry your daughter, you can't marry your sisters, yeah? You're not allowed to marry them. Now, this is the last verse in that chain of context. That verse is verse number 24. It says, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ إِلَّا مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ كَتَابَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. The verse goes on. So, الْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ means and the ones who are already married. So we're not allowed to, a man is not allowed to, or a woman, actually, it's not the same with a woman, it's not the same with a woman. A man is not allowed to marry a woman who's already married, yeah? And then it says, except for what your right hand possesses. Now, what this new propaganda of Christians have done is have made it seem like this except, yeah, is from the same jins, it's from the same category, therefore it means you want to do 2 minutes each. Oh, that's fine. Okay, I'll do 1 more minute. So it says, so they're making it seem like this except is in the same category. So it's talking about, you know, you're not allowed to marry your mum, this and that, and you're not allowed to marry a woman who's already married except for whom? Except for the slave. That's what or the right hand possesses. This is an incorrect translation and interpretation. The reason why it's incorrect is because in this verse, according to the Jumhur, all of the scholars of Islam, like Abu Hanifa himself, and the Mufassirin, all the Mufassirin agree of lugha that the illa here is illa istisna'iyya munqati'a, not munfasila, meaning it's munfasila, meaning it's disconnected, meaning it doesn't, this illa here is talking about something completely new. It's almost as if you start a new sentence. In a nutshell, what this means to say is that this except your right hand possesses does not mean that you're allowed to marry a woman who's already married if she's a slave. It does not mean that according to the scholars of language, and according to the scholars of tafsir, and according to the scholars of jurisprudence. That is ittifaq and it's called ijma', which is consensus.
What if you murdered her husband?
Even if you murder her husband, this is the context. This is only in the context in war. This is so what happened before back in the days. What you had is you had people fighting each other, empires, and then you had prisoners of war.
But even now you have fighting.
Yeah. So two things we're not allowed to do. Two things we're not allowed to do. We're not allowed to marry a woman who's already married. Okay, so she has to be divorced by that man. Number two, so that's what this verse is basically saying. You're not allowed to marry a woman, a slave who is already married. You're not allowed to marry her. That's basically what it says. So you have to go through a process of annulment of that marriage. Then the man can marry the woman.
So you've got 15 seconds.
According to the consensus of the scholars. I trust your time. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not sure I'm totally convinced by my friend's interpretation of that. Except those, also women are already married, except those whom your right hand possesses. Even if he divided that into two sentences, I don't think it actually makes any sense. And it also, because it goes on all others and all provided you seek them with mar. So it's actually explaining how you can have women that are already married. Now to get some clarification, let's have a look at the Prophet Muhammad, let's have a look at his life, see if actually he did what is spoken of in this verse. And I'd just like to draw attention to a woman called Safiya, whose father and brother were killed by the companions. I think it was in the siege of Hydepark. Okay, and basically Muhammad chose this woman as one of, to be his wife, and he was brought to her that night. And one of his companions, there's a hadith for this, forgive me for not knowing where it is, but you can look it up. There's a hadith which says that somebody had to guard, who said, I wanted to guard you all night because I was worried that there would be reprisals. Okay, so actually when we think about the behaviour of the Prophet of Islam himself, he actually goes and he forcibly takes women, he forcibly has their husbands and relatives killed in order to marry them. And there's not just this woman, Safiya, her name is Safiya, there's also another lady called Juwayriya. Okay, so you can look that up. So I actually think that the behaviour of the Prophet is entirely consistent with the verse of this Quran as the natural reading is. And he's trying to get away, it seems, from a natural reading of this verse because he doesn't like what it says. I don't blame him. I don't like what it says either. Okay, that's my last stop.
Let me answer directly.
Did you hear what she said?
Yeah, I think I heard what you said.
What did you say?
To be honest with you,
I really want to go in 5 minutes.
That's fine.
But what did she say? So what did she say?
She was saying, to be honest with you, I've been what did she say?
Safiya.
Something about
After killing her family member.
No.
Yes, yeah. So Safiya.
No, this is a lie.
No, it's not. Well, then,
It's a lie. And for her
and that's about it.
it's in the surah.
It's in the Sirah.
Okay, no. The Sirah, let me explain something about the Sirah. The Sirah is not hadith, it's not, we don't accept it as religion, really. So there's some things in the Sirah we don't accept as religion. Okay, that's one thing. Fine. Same as hadith. Thank you for that, so you understand. Number two, so I didn't really hear what you said, but you're saying that the Prophet forcibly married a woman. This had never ever happened. And in fact, the truth is, excuse me, let me follow. Excuse me, let me please. It's my time to speak. Do you mind? Like, the Prophet actually said in a hadith, and this is taken by the scholars of jurisprudence, that a woman must consent to the marriage. In fact, the Ahnaf, and it's very controversial, she was telling me about it, but I'm going to just tell you what the Ahnaf say. The Ahnaf, the Hanafi madhab, the mashhur there, it seems to be that a woman doesn't even require the consent of her father to get married. That's what the mashhur is. So actually, according to the Ahnaf, the rights of men completely seems to be consistent the same. But the rest of them, which I actually accept the other views, say that actually you have to have her permission and the father. And I accept that view because it says la nikah illa biwali. But the point is, she has to always consent. That is part of our religion. There's no such thing. Why would the Prophet do something and say nothing else? It never happened. Number two now, if you look at the book of Lamentations, chapter number 5, verse number 11, you'll find that it says you can rape, in the Bible, it says you can rape little girls, children. Rape them. And the word used in Hebrew is ana. Ana means rape, according to the biblical scholars, including many rich commentaries and other commentaries of the Bible that tell you that it's telling you in this commentary that it means rape. rape. Now furthermore, if you look at the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 21, verses number 10 to 11, it says also in the book of Deuteronomy that you're allowed to take them home and rape them. Who? The women. It says that where in the Quran? No, it says that where? Where? Say it louder, please, brothers. The Bible. It says it in the Bible. It says that you're allowed to rape not only children. Yes, you're allowed to rape a child, but you can rape a woman. Now, Jesus Christ said in the book of Matthew, chapter number 5, I think verse 17, I have not come to do away with the prophets. I've come to affirm them, the law, fulfill them, affirm them, whatever you want. Meaning, he did not come to abrogate the law of the Old Testament. That's why you'll find evangelicals in America, they don't eat shellfish. They actually abstain from the biblical injunctions that in the Old Testament. This is the correct understanding of the Bible and the biblical discourse. These people maybe come from a different school of thought, so they don't actually take the Bible literally. But there are Christians, I know them, that live in Islam. There are Christians, I know them, that live in Nigeria, that do take the Old Testament seriously. They don't want to take it seriously. All they're going to say is, look, the Old Testament is not what Jesus said, but it's what he affirmed and fulfilled. It doesn't mean that just because it's the Old Testament you don't take it as religion. That's not fair. It's unfair. So you're throwing stones again, and you live in a massive glass house, and you want us all to believe in your Bible on the premise that in the Quran, yes, it's violent, it includes prisoners of war. Your Bible allows it. Go ahead.
No, brother, that's why these people are
Let her finish. Okay, so
they are destroying Christianity.
Can you let her speak, please? What I noticed is that you were very, very quick to move on to the subject of Safiya and the Sirah Rasulullah.
I didn't hear what you said.
The Sirah Rasulullah is something we were very quick. The biography of Muhammad.
Okay.
It's also in the Hadith, it's also in the Tafsir. You're very quick to push that under the carpet. I think you really need to understand what's there. Okay, here's, for example, this is from the KARI. Okay, so the Prophet said, this is about Safiya, the story of Safiya, the siege of KABA. Go and take any slave girl. He took Safiya bint Huwai. A man came to the Prophet and said, oh, Allah's apostle, you gave Safiya bint Huwai to Dia, and she is the chief mistress of the tribes of Quraysh and Nadir, and she befits none but you. So the Prophet said, bring him along with her. So Dia came with her, and when the Prophet saw her, he said to Dia, take any slave girl other than her from the captives. Anas added, the Prophet then manumitted her and married her. Okay? Tibet asked Anas, oh, Abu Hamza, what did the Prophet pay her as ma? He said, herself was her ma. So he manumitted her and then married her. So basically he's saying, she doesn't even have a dowry, just herself will do. I'm just going to take her. Okay, that's a pretty unpleasant story. Okay, and this is not, we can argue all the time about the Mosaic law and how we don't follow the Mosaic law because Jesus fulfilled it in the sense that he fulfilled it in his own body because the price for sin in the Old Testament was blood. And how does Jesus fulfill the law? By shedding his own blood, the payment of sin. And not only that, but he gives a new law that gets to the spirit of what the old law was about. So rather than having all these laws about, okay, do not commit adultery, he says, to men, interestingly, and your Quran doesn't have many instructions for men. It says, if you look at women lustfully, then you can knock out your eye. For you guys, for some reason, if you look at women lustfully, the women have to cover themselves up. There's no
don't go there. Don't go there.
It's a problem. Exercise any self-control.
Oh my God. She went there.
Sahih Bukhari. Sahih Bukhari. Volume 1. Volume 1. KARI, if you want to look this up. KARI Volume 1, Book 8.
Alright, your time is up, so do you want to ask me? What I was going to say to you, fine. No. Let's.
I did say 5 minutes, so I'll let you speak.
No. What it says what is clear in our religion, you have to understand, in the context that we live in now, okay, where there is no such thing as war going on, we're not in the medieval period, we have nothing around us where, where we're seeing that literally, unless we literally go to the Middle East, the idea of what you call ma malakat aymanukum, or the right hand possesses, is not applicable.
Can I just say something? Alright.
Islam, I just want to say clearly, Islam came to, you could say very clearly that Islam, the intention of the Islamic Sharia was to do away with the system of slavery that existed at the time. How do we know that? We know that because in the Quran, in too many verses, it's telling us that you ought to give slaves away. It's telling us that if you do bad things and sins and this and that, you have to give a slave away. But the question is, why did Islam, the first question, did Islam abolish slavery in a way which was complete, in a way which is like, one go? It didn't do that. And that is what is, in today's world, controversial about the Islamic script. My point is as follows. Islam is a religion that's based on realism. Clifford Geertz is a sociologist / anthropologist, and he said when you study a society, you want to look at the thick description of that society. I believe that in the context of the medieval societies,
20 seconds.
the Islamic system was the best method for doing away with slavery. The only way someone could become a prisoner of war in Islam was through war. And men and women would become prisoners of war. Now, this, what she said before, which I've repeated before, but I just thought I'd give you a preamble here, is that the Prophet forcibly married someone. Now, I reject that completely. The Prophet never forcibly married any human being, ever. And it's never been mentioned in one single hadith that that is the case. Okay, so my time is up. So go ahead. Which hadith? I can't even, to be honest, I couldn't hear it.
Okay, the one I just read to you.
I couldn't hear it, honestly. Can you show it to me?
It's on my phone. Look at the Sirah Rasulullah and look at the story of
The Sirah. The Sirah is what? We don't... Okay, go ahead.
You're saying that, well, Islam is a I'm not sure if your Quran actually lets you have that view. The Quran says that it's eternal.